This is Ritesh Rathod from Nippon India Mutual Fund. I cover IT and healthcare space over here, and today I will be sharing my insights about the IT sector and the overall impact it has on the Indian economy. Maybe I'll start with a small data points and then eventually come with the growth drivers for the sector and the risk for the sector. Uh, the data points which I want to share is the impact which this sector had on the Indian economy. uh, they are one of the major foreign currency earner for generator for the economy. Uh, can you take a guess how much they contribute in case of annual foreign earnings for the India? Uh, if I want to share, out of $220 billion annual revenue they have, 80% of their revenue comes from exports, and that's the contribution they do in terms of earning foreign exchange for India. 51% of the services exports are coming from this sector. That's the share the sector has in the overall services exports. Second data point, other than the major foreign currency earner, is the major employment generator. This sector has done for the overall economy. Today they employ 5 million workforce, 50 lakhs. Uh, Annually they recruit 5 lakhs employees in the sector, and this is the direct employment they provide, the IT engineers and the IT experts. There is 1:5 multiplier effect. Every IT engineer creates 5 jobs for other people who are supporting the engineers, whether it could be in the form of driver, maid, laundry, cook, transport. And you can imagine, on 50 lakhs people there is another 2.5 crore kind of employment generation which has happened because of this sector in last 2 decades. So that's and it's not just 5 million or the 50 lakhs employees which have been given. It's the diversity. 36% of the share of women in the tech workforce is what I want to highlight, and they are supporting the Indian economy in this way. The third major thing is the cities which have been developed in last 2 decades is because of the IT progress and the IT exports which we have done from India. You have heard about Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad, Gurgaon, Noida. Most of the commercial and the real estate demand in this city has happened because of the IT employees working and staying in those cities. So it has been sort of underappreciated, the IT sector impact on the Indian economy. One of the major foreign exchange earner, one of the major employment generator, and most of the city development has happened indirectly through their setups in those cities. So I would like to share 5 growth drivers of this sector, and my whole today's insight or the sharing would be based on these growth drivers, and eventually I'll come to the risk section. On the growth drivers, the first one is the tech intensity or the tech spends of the clients have moved up in last decade and particularly post-COVID era. The second one is the acceptance of the offshoring has increased in the eyes of the clients. A third would be the talent availability in India at a large scale. Um, Fourth driver is the cheap cost of talent, which is available in India versus US or any other developed market. And the fifth is the adaptability, which IT companies have showcased by moving up the technology value chain. So, in case of the first growth driver, which is increasing tech spend or tech intensity by the clients who are sitting in the developed markets like US and Europe, I like to share that across sectors there have been new competitions emerging which have disrupted business models for those clients. And tech is becoming a tool to differentiate, a tool to drive sustainable advantage, uh, which has led to increase in tech spend for the clients across industries. So if you see, tech has become a core to clients' growth strategy. It has become a part of the every boardroom discussion, which was not the case earlier. Tech was considered as a support function. So this shift in perception, particularly post COVID, has led to increases in the tech spend. So IT capex as a percentage of GDP in US was 2.7% in 2009, and currently it has gone up to 3.33%. And within that, the software spend has even gone up much faster. So this reflects the tech intensity which has been increasing at client end. If I want to share other data points, the global enterprises, whether it's the banks, insurance, or high tech companies, they usually spend 5 to 10% of their revenue on technology spend. And particularly in case of top five banks, the spend has moved from 3.3% in 2010 to 6% in, 2000 in the current year. So this reflects that the spend on technology has been going up in last decade, and particularly post COVID, it has gone up substantially. Another data point, if I want to share, is the IT services growth rate, uh, which has been averaging around 4.5% from 2011 to 2019. As per Gartner, this global IT spending is likely to grow 8.7% CAGR in next 5 years, which is CY21 to CY26. Again, this shows that how Indian IT companies uh, have been part of this technology spend, and which is why their growth rate has seen what we have seen particularly in last 24 months. Within this technology spend, cloud is the backbone of the current demand environment. Currently 20 to 25% of workload is on the cloud, and this is expected to move to 70 to 80%. Particularly post COVID era, technology has accelerated in each of every across verticals, and clients have moved their application, moved their infrastructure, moved their other pieces on the cloud from on premise, and IT companies have been a key support to do that work or to do that migration. So the second growth driver which I want to speak about is the client's acceptance of higher offshoring to offshore locations like India. What has happened during COVID is client has faced inability to retrain the existing employee base. At the same time, their ways of working has shifted from work from office to work from home. All this has led to higher acceptance of offshoring in the eyes of the client, and Indian IT offshore operations or the Indian IT companies which are based in these locations have proven their resilience to the client, particularly in the acute COVID phase, where they help client in shifting the operations from work from office to work from home. At the same time, the outsourcing penetration, which was 30-40%, India was already having a larger share of 50% of that offshoring penetration. This has improved dramatically because of the shift in the perception. So this has been a key growth driver for the IT sector in terms of last decade, but particularly in post-COVID era, uh, the client's perception towards offshoring has improved dramatically, and they are willing to offshore more, not just larger volume of work, but better quality of work. You can see it's not just the low-end work which is getting offshored; it's even the uh, new product development, consultancy-led work, or any IP-related work, which are also getting offshored to to India as a location. And this can come to the Indian companies which are there, the vendors which are there in India, or the global captive centers which the clients have opened in Bangalore, Hyderabad to support their operations. So yeah, the third growth driver, which has been the key reason for the strong growth IT sector has shown in last decade, and particularly post COVID, has been the talent availability at large scale in India. If you see, India employs 5 million tech workforce, and this is the largest pool outside US. US employs 6.5 million on tech, the tech workforce in US. It's not just the tech workforce existing. Every year we churn out 1.5 million engineers, out of which 3 to 4 lakh would be computer science. So we are having an incremental pool which can be deployed. Last year, the IT industry hired 0.5 million engineers and gave them the employment. So talent availability at a large scale has been one of the key reasons, and it's not the talent is available in one particular area. It's widespread within the technology areas, not just in application development or BPO. It's also applicable in the product engineering. It's also applicable in the ERP maintenance and infrastructure management. So talent availability in a wider base, a wider area. Along with that, we are also getting talent in density. If you see a place like Bangalore, anybody can easily ramp up to 3,000 to 5,000 people within 6 months. If a global company wants to open their captive center in India, they can easily ramp up in a city like Bangalore or Pune. So talent base is not restricted to one area like application development or infrastructure management. It's available in wide technology areas like BPO, infrastructure management, maintenance, ER&D. So that's the point which I want to highlight. The talent availability at large scale, in density, in many technology areas has been the key reason for the growth driver. The fourth growth driver, which I would like to tell, is the cheap cost of talent. If you see entry level salaries of an engineer in India is 3.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs. average salary in IT company of an employee base of the employees would be in the range of 8 lakhs to 15 lakhs. The same cost in US is 70 lakhs to 1 CR. So you can see that work can be done in offshore location at one third the rate what you can do from US. So in a way, clients can do 3x volumes at the same budget which they have for the IT by shifting the work to offshore. And it's not just the cheap cost, but even the quality of work is decent enough at a lower cost, and which has led to this shifting of work to offshore locations like India because of the cheap cost of talent. So cheap cost of talent, talent availability at large scale in India, clients' acceptance of higher offshoring, rising tech intensity in the face of digital competition. These are the four key growth drivers. The fifth growth driver, which I need to speak about, is the Indian IT companies' adaptability. They have navigated multiple tech transitions in last 2 decades and upgraded their capabilities. We were very much aware would be of the Y2K surge which we saw in 2000. Post Y2K, they shifted from staff augmentation to project ownership. They started doing application development and application maintenance on a customized basis for the client. So they developed their capabilities at that point of time. In 2004, they moved towards ERP wave and started developing capabilities on ERP maintenance and eventually on the ERP implementations. Later on, they showcased capabilities on BPO when they shifted, when Philippines was taking market share on the voice side, they showcased their capabilities on the non-voice side. Similarly, on the IMS side, they started doing remote offshoring, remote infrastructure management by taking business from the larger companies which were based out of US. The last decade, Indian IT companies were facing this whole digital transition challenge, and people had doubt in their minds whether these companies could transition and develop capabilities in the digital domain and in the digital era, which post COVID, all those doubts have been certainly answered, and these companies have showcased their capabilities in cloud, in SaaS, in data migration, app modernization, data analytics, digital workplace transformation, security, IoT, smart manufacturing. You name the area within the digital. Both large and mid-cap companies have demonstrated and chosen the areas and demonstrated their domain capabilities, which is why the revenue of digital as a proportion of the overall revenue has moved up to 50%, which was not the case at the start of the decade, and the legacy technology revenue has come down below 50%. And it's not just crossing this digital transition, it gives us the confidence that if any future technology disruption which may arise in next decade, these companies can showcase the capabilities again and easily overcome such technology disruption which will arise. And whole uh, uh, in this whole journey of digital transition, they have the key thing they have done is they have reskilled their employees. They have developed the in-house knowledge management, which has been used as a template and trained their employees uh, to develop new skill sets and learn new things on the digital side, and that has been one of the key reason for them to overcome the digital transition which was there in front of them in last decade and particularly post COVID. So, after covering the five growth drivers which I discussed, I would like to highlight the risk for this sector, and there are a couple of risks which I would like to highlight. The one key risk is the competitive intensity, which has stayed elevated and will continue to remain elevated. If you see, the industry is very fragmented. The largest player in the industry has a 6% market share. The second largest has 2.5% market share, and there are various competitions coming from various category of players. There are players which are coming competition coming from Eastern European players. There are competition coming from the MNCs like the Accenture, Capgemini, Deloitte. There is a competition coming from the GCCs, the global captive centers of the clients. So clients have opened their in-house technology centers in places like Bangalore and Hyderabad. So because of this intense competitive intensity, most of the IT companies are unable to take price hike in an environment where inflation is very high. So other than the high competitive intensity, the second risk is the weak macro and geopolitical challenges. So we all are aware of the macro challenges in developed economies like US, Europe, where clients are facing high inflation, and particularly this high inflation can impact the growth and the margins for the IT companies. Eventually, clients may cut back on spending in near term or may take a pause in their spending. Overall, this risk is more of a short-term risk. On a medium to long-term, client will continue and come back on, will continue their spending on IT, and it won't be a structural issue for the IT spend. Is what my is my guess is. Uh, the third risk is digital business, which has the tenure of this digital business has been shorter and shorter compared to the historical business. Most of the digital deals, the duration has shrink from 10 years to 5 years. So that has been, that workflow has been of a shorter duration, and this could be a risk on a longer term perspective, as and when the digital deals gets executed, the incremental business may not support the growth expectations which we would have from the sector. Uh, Other than this three risk, high competitive intensity, weak macro, digital deals getting shorter, uh, there are hardly any risk which I see in the sector, and the sector remains on the strong footing on the growth drivers which I spoke about. Uh, Whether it's on the increasing tech intensity by the clients, higher acceptance of offshoring by the clients, talent availability in India at a large scale, cheap cost of talent, adaptability of the Indian IT companies in the multiple technology transitions which came through. So all those things will support the growth for the sector. Valuations is one thing which I need to highlight, and valuations has remained at a premium level compared to the historicals, particularly for large companies, even for mid-tier companies. It has been in the range of 35% for large companies, 65%. This I am talking of the historical valuation on a trailing basis. So valuations remains at elevated level, and near-term things can be a bit muted given the geopolitical challenges. But on a longer term, I am very positive about the sectors and the growth drivers which I spoke about, and will continue to stay positive. So thank you, investor, for your listening, and we'll meet you again with the next update on the sector. Bye.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.